Hey there, welcome back to the podcast. This episode is a little bit different from what I give you on a regular basis. What you're about to hear is my session from the Grow Without Social online event hosted by my friend Gabe Cox. Gabe put together something really special. It was a whole event built around marketing your business without being dependent on social media. And frankly, I was honored to be a part of it. In this conversation, Gabe and I dig into the Workflow Exchange, which was a low lift collaborative event that I hosted a couple months ago that grew my email list by over 200 subscribers. And really, it only cost me about 10 to 15 hours worth of work. So if you've ever thought about hosting a collaboration, but a full summit feels a little too much, this episode might give you some ideas. So let's get into it.
Collaborative events can feel like a lot. Big launches, complex logistics, and a level of pressure that doesn't always fit the season you're in. But what if there were a simpler way to collaborate? One that still leads to meaningful email list growth. In this next conversation with Jan Touchberry, we're breaking down her workflow exchange and how smaller, more intentional collaborative events can create real value for both hosts and contributors. You'll hear what made this model work, what stayed simple on purpose, and how you might start thinking about something similar in your own business. If you've been curious about collaborations and hosting your own event, but you hesitate to take on something big, this conversation will give you a clearer, more doable path forward. So let's dive in with Jan. Hey, Jan, thank you so much for being here with us today. I am really excited to dive deeper into your event, the Workflow Exchange, and how that has worked for visibility in your business.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me, Gabe. This is really exciting for me. I love being a part of building into other audiences of business builders. And so I'm just excited for the opportunity. So thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And I know you really don't focus on social media for marketing either. So I want to hear, how do you use it? Do you use it? What does that look like?
Sure. Yeah. I the journey has been long as it has for most people who decide to come off of socials. Um, I started out very gung ho on socials as a communications director. Like I was on Facebook as soon as they would allow me as a non-college student. Was on the wait list waiting for my link to sign up. And so I was very enthralled with social media for a really long time. And then as my business has developed, and I think post I would say even the last 3 years, the change in the social media landscape and the ever maneuvering algorithm that we're all like trying to figure out and bow to, it feels like I just got really tired and I'm like, I'm not doing this anymore. I don't need to do this anymore. You can't make me do this anymore. And so I have literally gotten off of all socials for my business. The only thing that I do on social media is I have a 9 grid on Instagram so that people can find me if they need to go to my social media just to check out my business. It's very simple. I did it in like 2 hours. I threw it up there and it just stays. And any social media that I do now is strictly because I want to, not because I have to. And it is glorious.
Oh, I love it. You know what's funny is I like 2 years ago, I said, "Oh, I'm going to make a 9 grid." And guess what? I have not done yet.
Oh,
Made a 9 grid. That's how off social media I am. But I think it's really neat how we can decide how to use it based on
absolutely.
our energy, what we like about
Yep.
it. Because
Yeah.
I was in the college directory, like it came
Mhm.
out when I was in college
Yeah.
and I loved it. Like it was just a connector and it was just a different experience. And as it's evolved, it's just not the place for me, at least for business, but even for
Right.
life. And so I like to hear how others are using it. Now,
Yeah.
you just did an event this past year called the Workflow Exchange. I'd
Yeah.
love for you just to tell us a little bit about it and then what made you want to create that instead of something like a more formal summit or bundle that a lot of people hear about.
Sure. So I'm a collaborator by nature. Like it is deep in me. I am much more happy collaborating with somebody. I'm a verbal processor, which is a little bit hard if you don't have anybody to verbal process with. So I love collaborating with other people, especially business women. We think the same, we have the same I don't know. I feel like we're cut from the same cloth, so to speak. And so we get each other. And one of the things that I feel like sometimes we don't do well is the collaboration piece, because we're always afraid, oh, well, what if she steals my customers? Or what if our audiences are too much alike? And I just believe that that's a lie from the enemy. If the Lord puts you, excuse me, on this planet to run your business, he has given you giftings and abilities, and he has your audience, and he knows exactly who needs to come across your path. And so we just need to collaborate together as Christian entrepreneurs and allow him to do the disseminating of customers. And so just take a deep breath when you think about collaboration, if it gives you any kind of anxiety. Yes. And so for me, the workflow exchange, I have been I've been a part of summits and bundles before, but I wanted to create something a little bit different that didn't require somebody sitting down over the course of a day or a couple of days watching a bunch of videos tied to their computer. I wanted them to be able to consume it on their own time when it fits naturally in their own flow of business and life. And so the Lord kind of dropped this idea of the workflow exchange. And if you're not familiar with it, we literally got 10 beautiful entrepreneurs that have businesses that I'm losing the word, but the businesses that uplift each other. We go together, we mesh together, but we're not necessarily in the same exact space, most of us. And so we collaborated together, and each one of us put in a workflow that we utilize in our own businesses to enable the people who joined the exchange to be able to grab that. And if it's something that they needed to focus on right then in their business, they would be able to implement it. So it was very implementable, not just, I feel like people get stuck in this knowledge cycle, is what I call it, of just getting more and more and more information amassed, but we never really do anything with it. So I wanted people to have something that they really were able to actually take and implement, and then take and implement. So over the course of 10 days, one per day per entrepreneur that collaborated, you got this workflow. And if it fit for you, awesome. You had something that you could go and you could implement right away. If it was a maybe not so much for me right now, that's fine too. You got to be introduced to a beautiful Christian entrepreneur who feels the same way you do about the Lord and about business and life. A lot of them have podcasts and other resources. And so there was connection there. And then also there were some women who said, this is not for me right now, but I have all of these workflows and I have them tucked away in a folder, and I'm going to use them when they feel right in my business. And it actually surpassed, it's the first time that I've done it. It will not be the last. I've actually had other people reach out to me going, hey, are you going to do this again? Because I'd really like to be a part of it. I'm like, yes, I will. And it surpassed my expectations, actually. It was great.
I love it. Yeah. And I actually got to be a part of it. So thank you
Yes,
for
you
reaching out
did.
to me too.
Yeah.
I thought it was really special. It was something different. And that's something I'm looking for when I'm collaborating now too, is let's test different processes, different ways to connect and to grow. And what I love is that we all did complement each other really nicely. But it was a win-win for everyone, for the participants, because that they got these beautiful workflows. For those of us who are participating, we got to connect with other audiences, other people that we may not have connected with before.
Mhm.
And for you as the host, I feel like it was probably very rewarding for you just to experience it, to be able to connect everyone together and to create this really great event. If you're willing to, could you tell us a little bit about maybe how much time it took to put together for you and a little of the results that you saw from it?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm an organizer, so there are probably simpler ways to do this. But I needed for my brain for it to be incredibly organized. And so I worked with Claude AI a lot to figure out the best way to organize it. I put together folders for each contributor and things like that, so that everything could stay straight on your end as a contributor, but also on my end, having to put it all together. I would say total, I put in probably a good 10 to 15 hours worth of work. But once I had everything from all the contributors and I had it automated in my flow desk, which is who I use for email, it just went. And
Mm.
it wasn't something that I had to babysit. Once everything was input, it was the beauty and joy of automation that works really well. It was awesome. And so, for me, that was the win, that it's not something that I had to constantly be paying attention to. Once it was done, it was done. And so I had blocked out on my calendar a couple of days that I was just going to knock it out and work on it. And I had a really clear timeline for all of the contributors when I needed their things, and so it worked really, really well. And for I don't know, because this was the first time I've done it, I wasn't really sure what to expect as far as email list growth, which is that was the primary reason for this, was expanded audience and email list growth. But it far surpassed what I thought I might have in my brain. I think each one of the contributors, and I think this was another thing that I did a little bit differently than most of the summits and bundles that I've seen in the past, is I had people check a box on the opt-in form that they understood they were getting added to every contributor's list, and that they could opt out of those lists at any time, instead of a lot of times what you see is the opposite of that. You join and then you opt into each one that you want to. And so with this one, with only 10 contributors, everybody got the expanded email list. And so I think you may have the number in your brain, but I think it was almost 200 people that each one of the contributors got to add to their lists. And for 10 hours of work, I'll take that any day.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's way cheaper than, meta ads
Oh,
or different things like
absolutely.
that. And I thought it was really neat that you did it that way. For me, for example, my conference is, 30 plus speakers. So
Oh,
that wouldn't be
absolutely.
possible.
Too
So there
much.
are
Yeah.
certain events where it's like, yeah, let's let them opt in because I'm doing all these different topics and you
Yep.
may not really be interested in YouTube, for example, or podcasting, or you might not be as interested in email marketing as you are in something else. And that's totally fine.
Mhm.
But because you had a smaller group, it was probably easier to be able to do something like that. And then to be like,
Absolutely.
make it known, like, just unsubscribe from those who are not your people. It's totally
Yep.
okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think one of the things that contributed to it working so well in the opt-in aspect, I think, is that I was very intentional on who I brought into the workflow exchange as a collaborator, and made sure that the things that they brought would flow well together. And
Mhm.
so again, while most people can identify with every single one of the 10. There are a few that you're like, yeah, not really into, that, or not really into that. But for the most part, all 10 of them would be applicable to any business owner. They're like, oh, yes, this is absolutely something that I need. And so again, because it was a smaller number of contributors and because they were so aligned and almost sequential, I actually worked with Claude to say, okay, if I was going to contribute, which order would you want these people to come into your inbox, so that you have a workflow of workflows.
Yeah.
And so I think it worked really well.
Yeah, very cool. So tell me a little bit about, as you were planning, was there anything that you were intentionally trying to keep simple or lighter compared to other collaborative events you've been a part of?
Um, I think that one of the things that I loved about it was that now, while some of the 10 created new workflows, most of them were existing workflows that you already had in your business. And so on your end as a contributor, it wasn't a heavy lift. And that
Mhm.
was really important to me. And so I really was trying to be intentional about who I gathered and what they already had to contribute, so that it was a light lift on everybody's part. And so yeah, I feel like that happened for the most part.
Yeah. I do too. I mean, I did have to create like a cutesy thing in a Canva. I didn't probably have to. I just decided to, but it
Yeah.
was still a workflow I already was using. So it was like this was easy peasy. It didn't take very long to do, and that's something that I think about when I'm saying yes to events too, especially because you know, you and I had talked about this. Life was lifing. It was like
Yeah.
I don't know if I can keep up. I really want to be a part of this, but
Yeah.
I love what you're putting together. I don't want to miss it. But life is lifing. How do I keep
Mhm.
this simple for myself? And I feel like this event was that. It was kind of a breath of fresh air. It was something different. And so I'm also curious, like, what are some things that you learned as you were putting this together that maybe you do the same? Let's talk about the same. So next time, what
Okay.
would you do the same?
I would be intentional on who was invited into the collaboration and make sure that, again, there's some sort of sequence that people can go through when they join the exchange. I think that worked well. I think that for the most part, the system that I had worked really well for where collaborators would put their things, and how I would get the information. I think the way that it was scheduled was great. It possibly, if I'm talking about things that I would change, I could do a shorter one. It doesn't have to be over the course of 2 weeks. So we did a Monday through Friday for 2 weeks in a row. I could have 5 collaborators and do Monday through Friday for 1 week. And so, that's a possible change. And then, if you wanted to, you could even do it longer if you wanted more contributors. But I think for the most part, the organization, the automation of how the delivery system worked, and then the fact that after the fact, I can turn it into evergreen if I want to, that was really great. So those are things that I would probably keep.
Oh, that's really cool. I didn't even think about like an evergreen option to that.
Mhm.
So I want to dive into that as well. So, and then I had one other follow up question about the event, but I'm losing my thought on it. So let's go into the evergreen. If you were to turn it into evergreen, what would that look like? It would just be like kind of an email funnel
Mhm.
that you would
Yep.
have it be set on 2 weeks, like a challenge or something like that. Like what are you kind of envisioning in that?
Well, so right now the page is still up and it is on a wait list. And so I still I'm getting people probably 3 or 4 a week that are joining the wait list. Don't know where they're coming from. So either someone has shared it with them or it's kind of lingering from maybe one of the contributors' email lists that just didn't get in on time, but I'm still getting 3 or 4 people, so it's just kind of sitting out there. I have a really short welcome sequence that goes to them and that says, "Hey, we'll open up the workflow exchange again soon. Thanks for being on the wait list, blah blah blah." But I think that at this point for evergreen, I wouldn't I wouldn't change much. I would just turn it back on. And it would be the same workflow over the course of 2 weeks that they had availability to get at the beginning. So it just simple. Simple is good. I don't feel like I need to reinvent the wheel, but if people are still interested in it, having it as an evergreen option is a win in my book.
Yeah, I love that idea. I know people have tried to do that with conferences. I tried
Mhm.
to do it with a conference. I didn't find that to work as well just because it can get outdated, the
Yeah.
talks and stuff, but I feel like a workflow probably wouldn't. So, one of my thoughts I had, the question that I was thinking about was what did you do post event? Like, did you have a process or something in mind to launch to the new leads, or what did that look like after the event was over?
Yeah, so my newest focus is visibility. It's actually something that your contributors are going to, or your attendees are going to get access to at this conference. But the goal with my workflow sequence for people who joined was actually to tease the new visibility offer that I'm going to be launching in May.
Okay, I love it. That is so awesome.
Yeah.
And then, like, as far as the workflow exchange goes, we talked about some things you would do the same, a little bit about what you do differently. Is there anything else that stands out that you might test or do differently next time?
I think I might. One of the things that I thought about, there were a couple of people who were a little bit in the weeds with all of my organization, those whose brains do not work as type A as mine. And so I might get on the phone with some of them And just look, if you're a type A like me, this is going to be your path. If you're not quite a type A and you need somebody to walk you through it a little bit, let's hop on a 30-minute phone call and I'm going to verbally walk you through it so that there's no confusion. And that way I think I'll be hitting everybody right where they live and it'll feel a little bit better. I don't ever want anybody to get overwhelmed when they're participating in something like this. And so having multiple ways to explain the process to somebody so everybody's clear, I would definitely do that. And then I think I had what was probably way too an elaborate of a folder system inside Google Drive
It was
for everybody.
elaborate.
Yeah, to get their assets and all of those things. I could simplify that. I went back and looked and I went, wow, that was a lot. What was I thinking? So anyway, I would probably simplify that a little bit. I don't know that I would change much about what was in there, but probably make it not as overwhelming when somebody clicked in the folder and saw 10 different things that they, whoa, what do I have to do here? Anyway, yeah, I would probably simplify it a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, it was so organized. So once I got to the right place, I'm like, I knew kind of what I was doing. There were a couple
Yeah.
questions I asked you too
Yeah.
about the workflow and whatnot. I could see it even just having like one Zoom meetup for those who need to, so
Yeah.
then you don't have to do a separate phone call for everyone.
Yeah.
But having that, I've thought about that just in my own conference for speakers too. I haven't implemented it because I'm like, I'll just pop on a call if somebody needs, and no one has
Yeah.
ever said they needed to yet. So we'll see, maybe I'll change
Yeah.
it. Now I'm curious for those who are listening, they're like, ooh, I could do an event like that. Like a summit sounds really overwhelming. A bundle
Mhm.
sounds overwhelming, but this sounds like something up my alley. And I think when you're leading a collaboration like this, you can do that when you have limited or zero audience already. Like it's a great place to start. And when you said 10 to 15 hours, I'm like, I'm there. Because if you guys hear how much time I spend on this, I mean, I spend hundreds of hours getting this
Yeah.
set up because it's a big, I mean, I go big on it. It's like, I want it to be an event. I don't want it to just
Mhm.
be like a 3-day, come listen to things. I want it to be an event. So I spend a lot of time on it, but 10 to 15 hours seems really doable for a lot of people. So
Yeah.
what would be your kind of strategy or first steps for someone who's like, I want to plan something like this. How do I get started?
Yeah. I think the this was born out of a phone call with a friend of mine. She's a part of the collaboration. She's a fellow podcaster and we literally were on a coffee chat and just brainstorming ideas. I'm like, ooh, I could do this. So get with your business besties and come up with some ideation, right? We need coffee time for ideation. I don't think that we do that enough. Again, collaboration. And then you don't have to go big if you're not, if 10 people feels overwhelming to you, find 3 of your business besties who have businesses that complement each other and launch it that way. Start small, do something so you can get all of the systems and processes down and then expand it if it works for you. But I think finding the right people that you know and trust. And then if you wanted to have something that was larger, like I didn't know you before the workflow exchange, and I'm so grateful to have been connected with you, but that was a connection through another person. And so I was asking my sphere, okay, who else needs to be in this workflow exchange? And so I was able to meet these other beautiful women who were not in my circle and expand my own personal circle. And I've been so enriched by it. And so I think finding your core and then expanding out as it feels right. That was best place to start.
I love it. Well, and Jan, I think that connection was so beautiful because I just feel like we're going to stay connected and we're going to
Yeah,
get to do
absolutely.
some more things in the future, and we're very aligned, but we
Mhm.
we are doing different things. So it's so complementary.
Yeah,
I never think like if someone else is doing goals, yes, it could be a little bit more competitive for me because I teach goals, but I'm like, but they don't teach it exactly like I do. And so the
right.
people who maybe have the brain that's going to work for that, cool, go hang out with them. I'm not gonna be mad about it. I'm here for those that who need to hear it the way that I teach it, right? And God is gonna put, like you had said in the beginning, God is gonna put the people in place who need to hear from you.
Right.
And so when you think about it in that, you're thinking about it in kingdom building terms instead of
Mhm.
like competitive terms, it
Right.
makes collaboration so much more rewarding and so much more
Absolutely.
beautiful. Mhm.
Absolutely. I totally agree with that.
Yeah. So you have a free resource for everybody, the Visibility Vault mini course, and I'm super excited about it. So tell us a little bit about what everyone's going to get if they decide to grab it from you.
Yeah, I put together I'm an avid podcast listener. I love ingesting information that way. I have a 30-minute commute to my full-time job every day, and so podcasting is what's in my car. And so I put together a private podcast of all of the best episodes that I have done on visibility, organic visibility, visibility off of social, and so you'll get the private podcast. And then I also put together a companion guide that will walk you through each episode and have just one, not 10, but one action step for each episode that you can easily implement in your business to move one step closer to where you want to be.
Awesome. I love it. I love private podcasts so
Me
much
too.
because I'm the same way. I'm like, if I'm working out, I can put earbuds
Yep.
in. If I'm the only way I like cooking is when I'm listening to, usually I'm going to say it's true crime podcasts, but when I'm listening to
Yep.
a
Yep.
podcast, I'm like, I'm looking forward to it because I only do it when I'm cooking and it makes me get into the kitchen. I'm telling you, it's worth it. So I think that's awesome. And then also for those who upgrade to the VIP experience, to the all access pass, you have a free funnel audit, which I think is amazing. It's
Yeah.
got a $97 value to it, and you're going to get it complimentary if you are an all access pass holder. So tell us a little bit about that audit.
Yeah. So one of the things that I run into in my business, I work with women and their visual brand. I do websites and personal branding, things like that. And one of the things that I find is that a lot of us, I self included, we put our thing out into the world and we think, oh, this is so great. People are just going to flock to it. And then you wonder why nobody's flocking to it. And then 6 months down the road, you figure out that it's broken. There's something in it. The automation that you so carefully set up is no longer set up. And so I believe that one of the things that we need to be doing as business owners is taking a look at the things that we put out into the world. And so I offer funnel audits. And it basically is you give me your favorite funnel, I will go through it from start to finish. And I'm going to figure out if it's all connected, awesome. If it's not, you're going to find out. And then I usually have some suggestions on how you can make it better so that it's more effective to grow your business.
Yeah, what an amazing value. I'm saying you are going to want that. Do you have any final encouraging words, tips for those who are listening when it comes to visibility and collaboration?
Yeah, I think community, pulling people like you around you and collaborating with them, don't underestimate the power of how that can grow your business. As solopreneurs, entrepreneurs, small business owners, a lot of the time we feel like it's all on us, and we do not have to do it alone. It's so cheesy when they say better together, but it really is true, right? We are better together. So find your people, be in community, collaborate with them, and move business forward together.
Yeah, we are better together. I love that. Jan, this has been such a fruitful conversation. For those who want to go deeper with you, where's the best place for them to find you online?
Website, jantouchberry.com. I make it pretty simple.
I love it. I love simple. I love all things systems.
Me too.
You and I, we are connected in that way. Thank you for being here, for sharing your wisdom. We really appreciate you.
Thanks for having me. It's been great.